Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my experience from traveling across Canada right now. So you probably noticed I have a different setup. I'm presently at my parents' house on Vancouver Island. So I traveled from Toronto, Ontario, all the way over to the west coast of Canada yesterday. So I'm just going to be talking to you about my personal experience, what it was like traveling right now. So let's get started. Alright, so if you're new to my channel, then welcome. My name is Zoey Arielle. I love to talk to you about self-improvement, spirituality, travel, of course, but because of the times, I have not been traveling that much lately. But I had the opportunity to travel yesterday, which I'm so happy and grateful for because I'm now spending some amazing quality time with my family here in British Columbia, where I'm from, for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, I do have an extensive list of travel diaries on my channel, mostly from Europe and Italy, so be sure to leave that down below if you are someone who loves travel and is missing traveling right now. That could really just, you know, help inspire you and have you feeling excited about what's to come in the future and what opportunities you would like to create for yourself once travel in the world opens up in the future. Okay, so yesterday I had quite an early flight from Toronto to all the way to Nanaimo. I flew into Nanaimo, British Columbia, but I had one layover. So I left my house around 4:15 a.m. in Toronto, and based on the rules there right now, of course, we had to wear a mask. I ordered an Uber, so I Ubered all the way to the airport, and the Uber driver actually told me that I was the first person to head to the airport that he's picked up in the last 2.5 months. So living downtown Toronto and someone who gets Ubers to the airport often, and I know that a lot of people do, like, I thought that was kind of interesting that he actually hadn't driven anyone to the airport in 2.5 months, of course, because travel is just like gone way down, but it's quite a significant period of time. So I got to the airport and it was suggested to come 2 hours early. So normally in Canada, prior to the pandemic, you would have to arrive to the airport 1 hour early. But yeah, I got there just over 2 hours early before my flight. What was different at first, of course, I had to wear a mask the entire time. I had to wear a mask going into the airport, and normally I would use the digital kiosks to check in. I had checked in online, and actually this is one thing that was interesting. I booked with WestJet and I couldn't reserve my seat online. There was the option, of course, paying for an upgrade if there was one available, but I actually didn't get the option of choosing my seat. So I don't know if that was something that's different right now. But yeah, there was no option. I did check in 24 hours early, so yeah, kind of different. And then I got to the airport and I couldn't use the digital kiosks. They still had them open and everything, and people were tapping on them, but the case was that it didn't work for any of us, any of the people who were trying to use them, and they kind of shuffled us all to the front desks. So even if you checked in online to get your baggage tags and everything, you had to go through the lineup to speak to someone, an assistant, in person. So that's something that everyone had to do. So I did spend quite a bit of time waiting in line. And then once I got my baggage tags, I put them through the machine that takes them, and even though I had a layover, my bags, of course, went all the way through to Nanaimo. So then I went through the place where we're going to go through the gates, right? So where you go through the security check and you put your carry-on bags through, and people were there along the lines. There was 2 people set up to ask me how I was feeling. And of course I said, like, no symptoms. Okay, so keep going. So I went around and around these tape lines, I guess, and then I got to the end. They asked me again, how are you feeling? I'm like, I'm feeling good. They're like, okay, so we're gonna take your temperature. So I had to move in front of this wall that they set up, and then they used the temperature guns on my forehead, and I was good to go. So I went through and I started to do the security check for my luggage. Of course, everyone's wearing masks. I'm still wearing a mask. So took all of my equipment out, my laptop, of course, out of the bag, put those through security, walked through to test me if there's any, like, you know, the metal detector things. I got through fine. Those people again asked me how I was feeling, if I had any symptoms. I said no. So grabbed my things, pack up my bag, and then I went to my gate, and I still had about an hour. So this entire process of getting to the airport, waiting in line to speak to someone, checking my baggage, going through security at like one of the first flights in the morning, took about an hour. So I had an hour prior to getting on my flight. And so I just went and sat down by my gate, and there was the signs on the chairs that just say like, oh, keep this space empty between people. So that's really nice that it was all kind of like designated. And yeah, waited for my flight. And then when it came time to check the zones, of course, when you're lining up, you have to keep that distance space between everyone. And when I got up to the checkpoint where she was checking my ID and scanning my boarding pass, there was the plexiglass in front, and you scanned your boarding pass through this plastic. So she scanned it. And then in this moment, if you're over 18, they ask you to take off your mask and show them your passport so they can see that it's actually you. So I had to do that, put it back on, went through onto the plane. And when I got onto the plane, they asked me how I was. I said good. And then they gave me a wipe to wipe down my seat. And from what I know, I believe that they are disinfecting the planes quite well. So they gave me almost like a Lysol wipe. And so when I got to my seat, I just kind of wiped everything down and put my luggage up, sat down, put my backpack under the seat, and it was good to go. It was a full plane, so that means that there was no spaces in between people. When the pandemic first happened, I actually flew back from Mexico, and I had open seats all around me, so that was really nice. But yeah, there was 2 women beside me. I had the window seat, totally manifested it. I don't know, you guys, like, even if I don't get to choose the seat that I'm in, I always just like manifest a window seat. So yeah, I was in the window seat. It was all good. I arrived to Calgary, and what I noticed about both airports, so both Toronto, Calgary, was that they were quite empty. So I arrived to Calgary, I don't know, like 9 something a.m. I don't even know which time zone actually. But arrived to Calgary maybe like 4 hours later. I don't know. I kind of like dozed in and out of sleep on the plane. And one thing you should note is that they do not feed you and they do not water you. I don't know if I missed the person who came by with small water bottles, but if anything, you only get a small water bottle. So I was on this flight from Toronto to Calgary, and although I was like in and out of sleep, I was absolutely parched. It was early in the morning. I didn't think that we weren't gonna get water. I thought, of course, we're not gonna get food, but they do not water you. So just know that as soon as you get through and security, go buy yourself a big bottle of water, because I felt so dehydrated. I actually started like coughing and stuff in the flight because my throat felt so dry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna think I'm sick, but really like I'm just so parched right now. So in Calgary, of course, I bought a huge bottle of water, drank this bottle of water. I think I bought 2 actually. I bought 1 and then I went back for another one. So I drank so much water. I got a coffee, I got an orange juice, and I was good to go to Nanaimo. And getting onto the plane, again, the same thing, line up, show them the ID, take off your mask, put it back on, get onto a plane. This is a much smaller plane because it's going to Vancouver Island. So there was only 2 seats beside each other. I got a window seat again, and I was sitting beside someone. Same thing, you just keep the mask on the entire flight. Of course, if you are going to take a drink of water or something, you can just move it and take a drink. But yeah, overall, it was different, of course. It was different traveling with a mask and having to wear that the entire time. Different, just overall vibe in the airports, I would say, vibe on the airplane. And I think the biggest difference is just everyone's asking you how you are, if you have any symptoms, just like keep on like asking you that so many times. But overall, I just like really missed travel. I was so excited to get on an airplane again, and obviously so excited to see my family. So super grateful for the opportunity, and just super grateful for how safe everything is in Canada and just how everyone's handling everything. I can't wait until life goes back to our new normal, our new ascended normal, the new earth, all of that. But when we can travel again, because it just really made me miss the adventures. Every time I'm in an airplane too, I don't know about you guys, but I get into super reflective mode where I'm like thinking about my life, and I'm just like, wow, all these times I've been on an airplane, thinking about Italy, thinking about my times in Europe. So very nostalgic always. And yeah, I would love to know if you guys are planning to do any traveling in Canada, maybe to visit your friends and family during this time, and or what that's been like for you, and what destination you're looking forward to going to most once things start to open up or we're able to. And I hope this video helped you in some way, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.